So, what if you could survive the pain and suffering of evolution in this society? People were brought into this world that didn't earn their place into this world. Now, who am I to say that they didn't earn their place into this world? Well, because the amount of work it takes to evolve would be way more than they can handle. And when given the option to evolve, they are scared of it. They don't want to deal with it. And so that means that you didn't earn your way into this world. You just were brought here because someone wanted to utilize your resources. Okay? So you do not have to die from pain and suffering. At some point, it will be alleviated once you earn your way into this world. Many people have been brought into this world, but never earned their place into it because someone shortcutted you into this world. Again, like the sub-Saharan desert, when it's pure Darwinism, only the strong survive. That's why they don't have cancer, disease, and chronic illness in third world countries that are living strictly Darwinian. Yeah, there's cancer, disease, and chronic illness in third world countries because there's some first world therapies that will shortcut you into being in this world, but they progressively keep you in a cured state until the body cannot handle the therapies anymore. And so when you think about it, the vaccines brought people into this world that probably shouldn't have been here, because when you leave it up to Mother Nature, only the strong survive. When you kind of play with Mother Nature, which I understand, because you want to give everybody a chance, but what it takes to evolve, what it takes to actually evolve, takes work. You have to earn your place. And that is body, mind, and spirits. You know, you can't get free handouts. You got the chance at life. Now you must earn it. Some people don't want to earn their life in this world, and so they'll earn their place for a temporary amount of time. And then Mother Nature will say, okay, you don't have what it takes to actually handle evolving in this world. Okay. And so I responded to somebody through email. Bless her heart. I could tell that she's a writer. She writes fantasy novels. And I know she's very concerned, not only for my animal, but she's probably concerned for me. Though she won't say it because she thinks I'm the demon, but that's okay. But, she doesn't like the fact that pain and suffering must happen through evolution. Because we were brought into this world on a temporary basis. The gods in the beginning of Sumer brought us into this world on a temporary basis, figured out how to capitalize on our temporary resources that we gave them, and then tried to give us a dignified way out. Though over time it gave us more dignity. I would say 100 years ago or even more, leaving this world was not very dignified. It was downright archaic, draconian. It was bad. And so us as a society as a whole are now figuring out, okay, how do we now stop what we started when it comes to human experimentation and bringing people into a world that they really can't measure up to. When you constantly have to modify someone's genetics while they're living because they can't do it themselves, that is torturous. Going under the knife because you can't handle the viruses because you've had heart attacks and strokes, that's torturous. Having to heal every single time someone did invasive anything, that's torturous. That's pain and suffering. People don't survive that. Okay? People don't survive that. And so, 50, 100 years ago, the vaccines gave people a stay of execution, so they didn't have to evolve. It didn't take a lot of energy to evolve because the genetic lines were relatively stronger. But now things are very different. The genetic lines are much, much weaker. And so what used to work, like I said, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, doesn't work anymore because we have exhausted the petri dish. And so now with the whole Jilly Juice mentality, as I'm writing my introduction, because I'm bringing in to the introduction about weak genetic lines and why there's going to be vaccine resistance, why there's going to be antibiotic resistance, why there's going to be a lot of suffering ahead of us because of the amount of procreation on bodies that were brought into this world for specific jobs, for innovation, for building resources, for building things. What's going on right now is no different than what happened way in the beginning of Sumer, when mankind was bioengineered for the gods to build the pyramids, to build the infrastructure, to build Babylon, to build the Garden of Eden or whatever. Okay? Right now what's going on is no different than what happened in the Garden of Eden in the beginning of Sumer in Mesopotamia. And so now we have a chance to evolve. We have a chance to realize that you don't have to die from pain and suffering. That pain and suffering is just a path to equilibrium on some level once you earn your place to the level of the environment. When you are taking all your different therapies and doing the surgeries and doing all the antibiotic stuff, you're not earning your way into this world. You're actually telling society and yourself that you haven't earned your place. And so you are systematically, progressively depleting yourself. And maybe you're going to give off some resources in the process, which, okay, fine. We honor that. We thank you for your service. But the time in between what you're brought in under, and then your ability to evolve will be shorter and shorter, as well as for your offspring. Okay, so the young lady that's concerned for myself and for my dog because of pain and suffering, she thinks that every time something is in pain and suffering, it's going to die at the end. That's the mentality out there, is that any pain and suffering means that at some point you're going to die from it. And so once I figured out that's the issue that people have when it comes to pain and suffering and why they are against the salt, then I realized, oh man, people are under the impression that because you are in pain and suffering, that the end result's going to be death. That if you don't alleviate the pain and suffering, then it's going to die. Well, if you already believe people should die anyways, and you already know in your head that you're going to die, what's the issue? Oh, it's quality of life. Well, okay. You know, quality of life is relative to the dynamics of the environment and the people that you are among. And if the people that you're among are believing in death, then right now at this point, quality of life and the way out the door, when the antibiotics and when the cures and the vaccines don't work anymore, it's going to diminish no matter what. We have to work from a very strong prototype. 7 billion people on very weak prototypes, you're not going to have the quality of life no matter what. I don't care how many cures you put on your dog. I don't care how many operations you do to your dog or do to yourself. The quality of life is not going to be at all very good for you and your dog because you don't understand what it takes to live. We're not in the same world anymore. That's the thing people don't understand. What used to work before in a less dynamic environment is not going to work. And so suffering is going to be continuous until people understand what it takes to level up and that you're going to have to feel the heat. Your dog's going to have to feel stuff. Believe me, I mean, my dog, here, I'll show you. People think that she's always suffering. Well, shit. When she has to evolve, she has to deal with it. But there she is. You think she's suffering? No, she's just dealing with whatever it takes to live. She earns her equilibrium. Earning your equilibrium means that you will get the gift of life on a continuous basis. When you shortcut to get to equilibrium, it's an unearned thing, and so you will not be rewarded with life over time. That's the thing, is that you have to earn your indefinite immortality. And so we were brought here to be temporary in the beginning, and then the gods and those that came from the bloodlines of the gods then figured out how to capitalize on the temporary basis of humans and created an organized society. Created infrastructure, created innovation, created architecture, arts, poems, writing. I mean, they gave us life. They gave us meaning of life. I mean, we're not Friedrich Nietzsche, who's a nihilistic that says life is meaningless and that you're going to suffer and you're going to be alone and then that's the end. No, life is evolution. Oh wow, there's a crow right over here. There's a crow outside. I don't think you can see it, but there it is at the corner of the house. But life is evolution. Okay, life is leveling up to the environment. Life isn't just empty and meaningless and then you do your job and you do whatever and you entertain yourself until there's no more entertainment and then you go out with a bang. That's not life. That's on your way out the door, but that's enjoying on your way out the door, for a certain amount of time. But let's redefine what life is. It's constant evolution. And it's going to be pain and suffering because it's the energy of evolution is what causes the pain and suffering. Or what? You destroy yourself at the micro level? But pain and suffering does not have to have the outcome of death. Death is not always the outcome of pain and suffering. It only is when a body's at a deficit and the person responds to their pain and suffering with antibiotics, taking out organs, using aggressive antibiotics like chemotherapy, like being drugged out, like, doing what people are doing out there. They're destroying themselves and destroying society. That doesn't have to happen. That doesn't have to be. Okay? And so now I understand even more so where people's heads are at when it comes to pain and suffering, because they automatically think that it's lack of quality of life and that death is around the corner, because that was the first thing she went to, was that, okay, Sugar is suffering and she's in pain. And when she dies, I want you to remember this day. Okay. Well, what would she die from? What would she die from? Well, then everyone's going to say, oh, she's dying from not getting treatment for whatever it is ailing her. Well, remember, those treatments are already proven to be antibiotic, and the end result in the veterinary world, as well as in the medical holistic system, is death. So you think me treating my dog is going to save her when the outcome is death anyways? See, that's kind of the skewed perception of those that are afraid of pain and suffering, is that everything they do to alleviate it in the medical holistic system, the outcome is 100% death. 100%. There is no, oh, you're going to survive your therapies. No, you won't, because now or later, you're not going to survive every single time your body tries to evolve and you keep applying antibiotics or taking out organs. How many organs are you going to take out before your body decides to shut down? How many antibiotics are you going to apply to your body before the body says, okay, it doesn't have any more life left to give you to keep you going? And so the outcome is going to be death. It's going to be inevitable. But that's short-sighted people. That's people only want to live for now. That's people that are thinking in a temporary basis. And so that's a split in our society, are those that think ahead and those that think only now. Though I do think of now and I also think of ahead, but those who are only thinking of now will alleviate all pain and suffering, but not realize that when you alleviate pain and suffering, immediately through shortcuts, the outcome is going to be, intention, which is the death process and then immediate death, because we have too many people with weak genetic bloodlines that can't handle the antibiotics, can't handle the vaccines, can't handle anything. And so it won't matter what they do. Okay, so I want to clarify that about pain and suffering. It doesn't always mean that the outcome is death. It just means that it's a must, and that it won't always be it won't always, be pain and suffering all the time. Because she's not pain and suffering all the time. She's actually very calm. She just had some breakfast. Okay, now she's just chilling out. She's happy that she has a place to live. She's happy that she is loved and taken care of. And how we take care of our dogs are our own business. What we do with our dogs on a day-to-day basis is our own business. What do you feed your dog? Because you give your dog so much exercise, it means your dog has hormonal imbalances. It has energy that needs to be dispersed. It needs to be put out there. And so my dog, you see how she's not very energetic right now because she doesn't need to be. She doesn't have a hormonal imbalance. When she needs to give off energy, she does it. She runs around the house, or she goes out in the yard and runs around and does whatever. I don't need to go I don't need to go and exercise her energy off because she doesn't have those predispositions of anxiety. Dogs that chew, dogs that need a lot of walks, means they have a lot of anxiety and it needs to be channeled. And so we have a diversity in animals. Some animals are higher strung than others, so they need a lot more walks than other dogs. You overwalk your dog, you cause joint issues, you cause other issues. Oh, and by the way, get an Instapot, you guys. A friend of mine was saying that, you know, when she got her Instapot, she put bones, like beef bones and chicken bones or whatever, put in the Instapot. It goes down to a jello, like a gel, and then you can make soup out of it. And so I plan to get an Instapot and go get a bunch of bones that are out there and go Instapot those bones, turn it into like a soup, and I'm going to add it to her meals. Okay? But yeah, I mean, you have to feed your dog the nutrients so they can stay alive. And you can't stop them from dealing with the virus because viruses are everywhere. They have to deal with their environment. Okay? And so they're going to have to feel some of the pain and suffer what you think is suffering. You know, what I think is suffering is when you leave an animal on the road that's been hit and then you don't have a way to really keep them alive because you don't know any better. And so you have to put that animal down because you don't want it to suffer. But my dog isn't suffering. She just has to go through upgrades periodically. And so you look at her and she's doing fine. Yeah, she'll have mucus come out of her hoo-hoo. That's part of the body releasing. You try to stop the body releasing, then what are you going to do? Turn them into a blimp and be hormonally imbalanced? Anyways, this is very important to clarify about pain and suffering. Death is not always the outcome. Okay? That's it. Bye.